Hello and welcome to TFD Talks Education. I'm Tyler Douthit and I am joined today by Bryce Dunford. He is president of the Jordan School District in Jordan, Utah. Hello, Bryce, and thanks for joining us today.
You bet. I'm happy to join you.
Recently, there was a little bit of news, and you talked with some media stuff about a grant pool to help some of your teachers and different compensation. Please, for those that might not know how that works, what's the overall idea of how this grant pool works?
Well, a lot of different professions and organizations have tried to find a way to incentivize people to improve performance. Education is always a changing field. So the question is, how do you encourage students to change with it? How do you encourage teachers to adopt new practices, to try new methods, to push themselves beyond where they are? I mean, we love our teachers and they're wonderful, but as the field changes, we'd like to come up with a way to help them and encourage them to change. So a lot of people have tried merit pay, which doesn't work. That's based on, well, I'm going to evaluate you, and if you didn't do a good job, we're not going to pay you the full amount. And we chose not to go that route. So every teacher in our district has a set pay. You're going to get paid based on this lane that you're on, like typical education. But we've introduced an incentive package to say, look, but all the extra things you're already doing, the extra things that are pushing you into excellent teaching and increased learning, we'd like to pay you for those. And so we have set aside $4.5 million for what we call a grant program. Now, I know that's a little misleading because grants are often seen as, receive a grant for computers or receive a grant for some type of software. This is not. This is money that's given to the teachers as salary, up and beyond their regular salary, if they'll do something for something that they're doing up and beyond. For example, one of our grant proposals, a teacher said, look, I'd like to offer an English language class after school for not just students, but for community members. And so because he got paid up and beyond his regular salary, he stuck around after school and taught some English as a second language classes, which resulted in some tremendous growth in that area. And a lot of people criticize it, saying, well, you're asking us to jump through hoops. But there's two ways to think about this. We can say, well, let's just pay everyone this. Let's put all of that grant money into salaries. Then we're rewarding the lowest common denominator. We're rewarding everyone regardless of the effort they put in to improve. The grant program says, look, we have a very competitive salary. You come to our district, you're going to get paid just as much as any other district. But in addition to that, we have an incentive package that will reward you for doing things that bring excellence to your classroom. It doesn't necessarily have to be new technologies. It just is a way to say, we want to reward you for doing excellent. We found that a lot of our teachers are doing wonderful things anyway, but they're not being paid for those wonderful things. They're just receiving a base salary as if they came to work and did nothing else. So the incentive pay is kind of a way to say, those of you who are doing extra up and beyond, bringing excellence to the classroom through extra effort, we want to pay you extra for doing so. So they fill out an application for a grant, and this year the teacher could receive up to $5,000 in addition to their regular salary for a grant. The average will receive about $3,000. Last year we had about 1,000 applicants, and the average payout was around $2,700, $2,800. So in addition to your regular pay, which you're going to receive no matter what, we had about 1,000 teachers receive almost $3,000 as incentive pay for things that they were doing that maybe some of the other teachers weren't doing, which is going to promote education. It's going to promote excellent education. It's going to push each teacher every year to just try new things and be paid for them.
So when the teacher wants to do this, they apply for the grant amount. Do they request a certain amount, or they just say this is the idea and then the board gives what the amount they think is applicable?
And it's not even the board. So they fill out an application saying, here's what I'd like to do. And last year, the highest amount was $3,000. And so it goes to a committee of their own peers. There's no principals, there's no administrators, there's no board members. It's their own peers. It's teachers on a committee who evaluated every application. And almost always erred on the side of caution. They just simply said, you know what, let's give them the full amount. The ones that were not fully supported, fully approved, usually lacked some information on what they were trying to do. It usually wasn't a matter of, oh, I like that grant or I don't like that grant. We kind of had a rubric and said, here's what we're looking for. And as long as the project meets these criteria, then, we tried to fund them at the full amount. It was a learning curve. It was our first year last year. We all learned. The teachers who filled out the applications learned, and we've learned. And so we're going to try and make it easier for teachers to fill out the application. And our goal is not to trick them. We're not trying to hide. We're not trying to, you have to prove yourself worthy. It's just, we want these teachers to get this money. We've set this money aside for Teachers Grant, and we're going to give it all away. And so if everyone applies, then yeah, the amount would be lower. But last year we had about 1,000 people apply. It wasn't extremely difficult to apply, but there were some learning curves, and they learned that we now have learned that, sometimes you were turned down because of lack of information. So I think a lot of teachers are going to do a little bit better job this year at making sure they provide all the information that they need. But it really wasn't, we really tried hard to avoid this human element that pride can enter in, and, oh, I don't like her, so I don't want her to have a grant. We tried to eliminate that completely. So it was a kind of a panel of 10 teachers, no administrators. It didn't go to your principal. It didn't go to the board. It went to just a panel of 10 to say, that project is a wonderful project. Let's fund it at the full amount.
Now, to help give context, you said about 1,000 applied. It was at district-wide, I suppose, a number like it must be over the district, right? About
Yes.
How many teachers are there in the district? So what kind of,
we have about,
how many applied versus how many there are?
We have about 2,700 teachers, and we as a board chose to only include those who are kind of out of their first couple of years. If you're a level 2 teacher, you can apply, but a teacher in his or her first or second or third year, we wanted them to not worry about the grant program, to just get rolling, get your feet under you. So eliminate, I don't know how many are in their first 3 years, but we have 2,700 teachers total, and about 1,000 of them received a grant. Let me clarify that. 1,000 of them received a grant. I'm not sure how many did not. I think it was a very small amount, but 1,000 people received a grant last year.
Is some of that money, I know budgets sometimes are kind of use it or lose it. Like if it, does all that have to get dispersed, or might some roll over year to year if it doesn't all get used?
If it doesn't all get used, we would roll it into the next year. But our commitment is to spend it all each year. So this year we've set aside $4.5 million, and we anticipate spending it all this year. So if for some reason the teachers just didn't apply and we didn't have enough applicants, then we would roll it over. But given the number of applicants, we've upped the individual awards you could receive to $5,000. So when we look at how many people applied and how much money we have, that will determine how many people can get the $5,000 and how many would get a lesser amount. We really want to push that to just bring your A game. You bring your A game, you do something that's going to bring excellence to your classroom. And we don't know how many will get the $5,000, but we wanted to up that just to simply say, we're going to give this money away. And if you apply, we'd like to give this money away. We don't have any intention of rolling it over into the next year. Our intention is to spend all of it each year.
And just to make sure it's crystal clear, I think I already know the answer, but each teacher can only apply one time per year. Like they might have 5 good ideas, but they apply one time.
Right. And the limit is a per person. So you could have 2 grants and one be funded at $1,000 and one be funded at a different amount. But you can only, the amount you receive is one set amount. Okay. You can do it as a group. So if you're in a PLC group and your whole PLC group wants to do one project that will bring excellence to your whole group, then everyone in that group would be approved for that particular amount. So it's not an individual effort. You can do it in groups as well and apply as a group, but you would each be paid individually.
Okay. And I guess pretty much two more questions. One, the overall vibe of the teachers impacted by this. hesitant? Are they jumping into chances? I mean, are they doing it, you think, mostly because they can get paid more, or they see like it makes sense to them, reward, taking on bigger, challenging, to bring value type ideas? Or what's the overall vibe of the teachers been?
The overall vibe we're getting is very positive, especially when they see what is being proposed and the type of projects. And I anticipate year after year when they look back and realize, oh, that was a grant? Wow, that really made a huge difference. So the overall vibe is positive. There are those who criticize and say, why don't you just take all that grant money and just roll it into salaries and not make us jump through hoops or do extra things? And we're hoping that over time they realize that we don't want to reward those who aren't doing what you're doing. We'd really like to reward those who are pushing themselves to improve their teaching, improve learning. And so, yes, there were some critics. There always are. It's a new program. Some people say, I don't want to have to go through the effort to do the application. I don't want to have to do anything extra. I'm already doing too much. Why are you requiring me? But overall, a lot of people said, oh, wait, this isn't an extra thing. This is to pay me for the extra things I'm already doing.
Mm-hmm.
When they realized that, many have went, oh my goodness, what a brilliant idea, because I want to do those things anyway, but they're not necessarily part of my basic contract. But now I have an opportunity to be paid for the extra things that I want to do and am willing to do anyway. Once they realized that, a lot of them went, oh, this is a wonderful program. Because those who are not necessarily doing those things are not going to get the grant money. And those who are, and that's going to push everyone to, we're hoping it will push everyone to excellence. So yes, there were some who were critical, just saying, we don't want to put the effort in, just pay us that money anyway. But most people were very excited at an opportunity to earn up and beyond their standard salary. And not only that, but once the grants came in and once we began to see what other people were doing, I think there was a new wave of excitement that when people said, wow, this really is a great program, because look at what teachers were able to do because they're being paid. Not that teachers wouldn't do it. That's the thing, is many of them were doing it anyway or wanted to do it anyway, but now they have an opportunity to be paid for those extra things. So we believe the feedback we've heard as a board has been very positive. A few critics, but overall, I think teachers have been very, very positive, especially whenever I bump into a teacher and say, hey, tell me about the grant program. Did you get a grant? They said, yes, I did. What was your project? And as they describe their project, they are just thrilled to talk about it. And I love that excitement. So I think it's a very positive thing.
And the second part of that, so that's as far as the teachers. Now you got someone like me, for example, not a teacher. I have I have two kids at school, and people that money tends to come from taxpayers in some form. You see random parents, people on the street, people that I'm sure you kind of known around the schools a little bit. Parents such as myself, do they seem to like the idea of that? Or do they not? What's the vibe from people that are not teachers been?
The vibe we're getting from the taxpayers is that this is a well use of their funds, because we believe we have a very competitive salary with other districts. We believe that our salary, can hold its own in the Valley. It's not like we're using the grant program as our only identity. We believe our salary is significant. We're not the highest paid district. We're about the fourth highest paid district in the state of Utah. But we're mostly a residential area where we don't have a huge commercial base, so we don't have as much money as some of those other districts do. And so I think we're hearing from the public that this is a wonderful incentive because it pushes teachers to do excellent things, and that most parents are really thrilled with that idea. I think parents say, no, we want our teachers to have a competitive salary. Don't jeopardize their salary with the grant program. But if you can give a competitive salary, most parents say, we're thrilled with this, because what this does is it pushes teachers to do extra wonderful things, to try new programs. Let me try blended learning. I've heard about blended learning, but now I have a reason to try it out. And then it turns out it's a phenomenal teaching tool in your particular classroom. So most parents are actually thrilled with the idea of rewarding teachers for excellence and things that they do that's going to really benefit their child in that classroom. So it's been very positive from the public.
All right. Well, that'll wrap it up for today. Bryce, thank you very much for taking time out to talk to me today.
You
and
bet.
we'll see where the grant pool goes, and we'll see if it keeps getting steam or whatever the future holds. But it sounds like
That's right.
people seem to like it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.